Welcome everybody to the Latin Nerds Network. My name is Jose and this is my review for The Killer, the newest film of Netflix release on November 10th. It's getting a limited release on a theatrical run, I think in a few days, the 27th if I'm not mistaken. A movie directed by David Fincher, who I'm a big fan of. He's given us so many good films, Social Network, Fight Club, Seven, The Game, so amongst many others. So this one here is very interested in because of that. And this one we have here Michael Fassbender, who I'm a big fan of. He's a really good actor who tends to choose kind of shitty projects, and that's been his biggest issue, right? And even the shitty films, he's still good. He just doesn't put himself in the right projects to really highlight his talent. But now partnering with David Fincher, I think that's really going to bode well for him. Here he stars as a contract killer, an assassin, if you will, very methodical, very patient assassin. After a botched job early on, they go after him because of it, and in trying to find him, they actually find a good friend, a girlfriend, whomever. It's not really explained very well. She gets hurt in the process, so now he's upset, wants to take revenge on those who are going after him to beginning. And he goes off on a revenge of kind of trip here and tries to discover who was actually sent to kill him, and he goes after them personally. So that's kind of the setup of the film here. I think this is based off a graphic novel, so it's kind of in essence just to it seems like your typical kind of assassin revenge film, kind of what we've seen like John Wick, for example. So John Wick took more of a fantastic approach. This one takes a more realistic and more patient, methodical approach here. So I'll say it's off the bat, if you're you hear that premise, maybe you've seen the trailer, and oh cool, another action film and revenge story and all that, pump the brakes. This is it's a very patient film, very methodical film. It's not full of action sequences, despite the fact that it is a revenge film, if you will. There is one really cool action sequence, fight scene, which I really thought was really well done. David Fincher does a good job directing it, very brutal, I liked it a lot. But overall, this movie's more about the actual, Fassbender and his character, right? Because it's a lot of voiceover work, a lot of narration going on by Fassbender's character. And he's kind of letting you into his mind and what it takes for him to succeed as an assassin, right? The patience it takes, the kind of line you have to follow, very methodical procedures you have to go through every time, how to not to get emotionally involved, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all very fascinating. It's a very cerebral film. So it gives you a good insight of what would it take to be that. And the film really illustrates that, particularly in that first scene. Right off the bat, it's a intro scene. It seems like it takes too long. And to some people, I can see that complaint being valid. But I think the movie is really kind of mirroring who Fassbender is, right? He sits around and waits. It's not a glamorous job as you might see in movies or TV. You sit around, wait a lot, you plan, and you execute when the time comes. So it takes a lot of patience. And the film follows that throughout the entirety of its run there. So from that sense, it was interesting. I liked it. It's an enjoyable film. It's again decent scenes, very well shot. It's very much a David Fincher film. It's very dark in its tone and sensibilities and lighting. That's kind of how his MO. Nothing's really different here. I know it's gotten a lot of good reviews, and I don't think it's as good as what people are saying. It might not be for everybody, but it's a good, well-made film, enjoyable. I liked it. The biggest issues with the film, which really didn't elevate this to a great film, particularly with the good. I love a good revenge film, love a good hitman, killer film. I like all that, but the emotional connection wasn't there. Like Fassbender, he's very cold and calculating, right? And the movie kind of goes about the same way, so you don't have the emotional connection. So the whole revenge angle doesn't really quite hit. You can't relate to it. They can show us the woman who gets hurt. It's those who go after Fassbender and trying to get information from her. They don't show that scene in particular, but she gets hurt and beat up a lot, and she's got a huge gash in her head. She's in the hospital. She almost died, right? But they never give you a sense of how that happened, and they don't really explain who she really is. You kind of just infer she's someone important in his life, maybe a lover, a girlfriend, or whatever, but you don't know. So they never really gave us that connection. So you're not really feeling like you're rooting for Fassbender. He's not a character you root for. He's a character you're interested in, and you like seeing what's unfolding on screen. But like with John Wick, and I guess a fair comparison where, listen, it's a simple story. It's each revenge story is involving an assassin. Fair enough. But that really hooked you because of, John Wick's wife died, and they kind of show you some of the interactions and the whole dog and that connection. They really did a good job of connecting you to him emotionally, right? So now you're really rooting for John Wick to go out there and kick some ass. This movie doesn't take that approach. Some people may like that, some don't. I was I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but again, I would like to have seen that to really get you vested into what's happening, right, and following him. And I'm hoping he gets the mission done, as opposed to just waiting on to see how he gets it done. There's a difference there. But that being said, it's a good film. This one, Netflix, you're rolling the die, right? I have a pie chart in my head for Netflix where 10% of the films released on Netflix are great, like legitimately really good films. Some of them have been nominated for awards and all that we've seen that over the last 4 or 5 years. The other, 40 to 50%, it's just mediocre. Most of the films they release are just mediocre. They're just okay. They're watchable, fun, entertaining. They do a lot of action films on Netflix, which are fine. I recommend them for what it is because it is free. You watch it at home and some family films, all that. And about 30, 40% depending on just or the garbage, just crap. And I think people focus on the crap. And for the most part, to be perfectly honest, I think most movies are just mediocre. They're just in that range of they're okay, they're watchable. Check it out. This one falls in that range where it's not great. It's not part of that 10%, but it's part of that 40, 50, 60% where it's watchable. It's fun, it's entertaining. It's a really good film, really well made. And I think people are going to enjoy it. Just be aware what you're getting into. It's not fast-paced action. This isn't Taken, and John Wick, nothing like that. It's just very slow-paced film, which is very well done. And Fassbender does a good job of portraying that character, and his voice, the voice-over work that he does in narration really draws you in. A lot of interesting dialogue there with performance. So, but for the most part, lacks that energy, that sizzle. I think a movie like this should have, and nothing else. And it doesn't have that emotional punch I wish it did have to kind of get you vested and drawn in. But overall, I recommend it. If you're a fan of Fassbender Fincher, just check it out in theaters in a couple of days when it gets released. But it's one you can definitely wait till Netflix. And I definitely recommend watching on Netflix for free because you don't gotta pay. So what the hell, right? So that being said, The Killer, you guys wanna watch it? Comment below, let me know what you guys thought. And of course, if you haven't done so already, as always, subscribe below and feed money to go to the movies and talk about it after. See you guys next time.